A black landlord was verbally assaulted and driven off his own property in rural Vermont, branded a criminal by a woman who didn't know she was hurling venom at the man who held her lease. It was October 12th, 2024, the air crisp with autumn's chill, leaves spiraling like whispers of judgment in the breeze. Malik Thompson, 40, rolled up to his rental house in Brattleboro in a weathered Dodge pickup, the bed cluttered with tools that had forged his modest empire. He'd just come from a meeting with a local credit union, still in a navy blazer, no tie, sleeves rolled up to his elbows, ready to tackle a loose shutter before his new tenant arrived. The house was his pride, a 2-story gem, pale gray siding gleaming under the afternoon sun, a porch wide enough for rocking chairs and quiet evenings. Malik had poured his heart into it, every nail a testament to a life carved from grit. A former carpenter, he'd flipped his first property at 25, and now this was his 4th, debt-free, a defiant stand against anyone who'd ever doubted him. But when he stepped onto the stone driveway, toolbox in hand, the world turned hostile. Across the street, Sarah Mitchell, 30, was wrestling a duffel bag from her rented Honda, her auburn braid swinging as she muttered about the 4-hour drive from Burlington. She'd snagged the listing on impulse, a Brattleboro steel, perfect for her freelance web design gig while she rebuilt her life after a messy divorce. The photos had reeled her in, polished oak floors, a vintage soaking tub, a backyard calling for her rescue dog, Max, to chase chipmunks. She was early, eager to claim the space, already picturing her laptop on the kitchen table, string lights draped over the deck. But when she glanced up and saw Malik, 6'3", black, standing on the porch with a hammer, her pulse spiked. Her eyes narrowed to slits, lips twisting like she'd spotted a threat in her haven. Malik was too focused, grumbling about warped wood, to notice the shift, but the air snapped when she shouted, "Hey! Who the hell are you? And what are you doing on my property?" He froze, hammer halfway to a nail, turning slowly. "Just doing some maintenance, ma'am. Doing some—" Sarah cut him off, her voice a blade. "This is private property. Get out or I'm calling the police." The words erupted, loud enough to startle a squirrel from a nearby tree. Malik's jaw clenched, his warm smile vanishing. "Hold up. There's a misunderstanding. I'm Malik Thompson, the landlord," she scoffed, stepping forward, phone gripped like a weapon. "You're not the owner. I'm not an idiot. Leave, or I'll have you arrested." Her face was a tempest, red, contorted, certain she was facing danger. Malik felt the ground tilt, that familiar, nauseating weight hitting his gut, the one that came with being pegged as a threat. He'd been here before, followed in a hardware store, questioned by a cop for jogging in his own neighborhood, stared at like he didn't belong anywhere decent. But this, his own damn driveway, it was a body blow. He set the hammer down, deliberate, hands visible. "Ma'am, I'm telling you, this is my house. Check your lease. My name's on it." Sarah's laugh was jagged, venomous. "You own this? Nice try. I'm meeting the real landlord, and you're not him. Get moving, or I'll make you regret it." The threat hung thick, her finger hovering over her phone screen. Malik's pulse pounded, Not fear, but rage, the kind that festers when you're forced to choke down disrespect on your own land. He could have pulled the deed from his truck, shoved emails in her face, pointed to the worn Thompson Properties logo on the mailbox, but her eyes, wild, unyielding, said she wasn't listening. Not now. "All right," he said, voice low, grabbing his toolbox. "I'm gone, but you'll see my name, believe that." He walked to his truck, each step searing, her glare burning into his back like a mark. Sarah stood rooted, arms crossed, triumphant, as his engine growled and stones crunched under his tires. She didn't flinch, didn't doubt. She dragged her duffel inside, Max bounding after her, oblivious to the wreckage left behind. The house smelled of pine and possibility, and Sarah felt like a victor defending her fortress. She'd pictured the landlord, Emma Thompson, as some weathered white woman, maybe a retired broker with a perm and a sensible sedan. Not him. She shook it off, unpacking with purpose. Sketch pads, a second-hand rug, Max's frayed bed, already mentally rearranging the dining nook. The lease sat on the counter, unopened, her signature scrawled in haste. She didn't check it. Why would she? She'd won. Malik, meanwhile, was speeding to a diner 10 miles out, knuckles white on the wheel. He called his property manager, Denise, a 55-year-old Spitfire who'd been with him since his first flip. Denise, new tenant, just lost her damn mind. "Ran me off the Brattleboro place like I was looting it. Can you handle this? I'm not trying to make it worse." Denise's voice crackled, sharp. "She did what? You okay?" He exhaled hard. "Pissed, but fine. Just get there." He hung up, pulled into the diner lot, and ordered a coffee. Black, no sugar. The steam rose, mirroring the heat in his chest. He wasn't shocked. Life had taught him to expect this, but it stung deeper on his own ground. He thought of his mom, a teacher who'd smiled through slights to keep her job, telling him, "Prove them wrong, but don't break." Today, that advice felt like a shackle. Back at the house, Sarah was arranging mugs, humming off-key, when a silver SUV crunched into the drive. Denise stepped out, locks tied back, clipboard under one arm, her face a mask of professional frost. "Sarah Mitchell," she called, voice crisp. Sarah poked her head out, all smiles, expecting an ally. "That's me. Hey, thanks for coming. There was this guy earlier." Denise cut in, no warmth. "That guy was Malik Thompson, your landlord." "You want to explain why you chased him off his own property?" Sarah's smile cracked, her breath catching. "Wait, what? That was him?" Denise's nod was slow, deliberate, her eyes pinning Sarah like a specimen. "Signed your lease, didn't you?" "His name's right there. So what happened?" Sarah's mouth flapped, words stumbling. I didn't think, he didn't look like." Denise tilted her head, unblinking. "Didn't look like what? A man who owns 4 houses? A carpenter who built this place from the ground up?" Sarah's face flushed a sickly pink. I thought he was like breaking in or something." Denise's laugh was dry, cutting. "Breaking in with a toolbox on his own porch? You didn't think to ask, did you?" Sarah shrank, clutching the doorframe. I'm sorry. I didn't know. I I messed up. Denise didn't soften. Yeah, you did. Malik's too kind to say it, but I'm not. You hurt a good man today. He was fixing your damn shutters. She slapped a business card on the counter. He'll be back tomorrow. I'd figure out how to make this right if I were you. Denise turned, leaving Sarah with Max's wines and a house that suddenly felt too still. That night, Sarah's mind wouldn't rest. She paced the oak floors, Max trailing, as the walls seemed to press in. She saw Malik's face, calm but weary, like he'd been through this 1,000 times. She'd been so certain, so loud, and now every word echoed like a wound. She grabbed the lease, hands trembling, and there it was, Malik Thompson, owner, signed in bold ink. She groaned, sinking onto the couch, Max's wet nose nudging her. I'm an idiot, she muttered, replaying her own voice, shrill, accusing, ugly. She'd always prided herself on being decent. She donated to charities, shared posts about equity, had a black neighbor she called a friend. But today, she'd been someone else, someone who saw a black man and thought thief without a moment's hesitation. The shame was crushing. She opened her laptop, typed, Malik Thompson, Brattleboro, VT, half expecting nothing. But he was everywhere. A local blog profiling his first flip, a photo of him at a town council meeting, another of him laughing with teens at a community build. His company, Thompson Properties, had a simple site, 4 rentals, all immaculate with testimonials. Malik fixed my AC at midnight. Best landlord ever. She clicked a video, grainy but clear, of Malik teaching kids to hang drywall, his laugh warm as he steadied a girl's shaky hammer. Comments piled up. Brattleboro's lucky to have him. Man's a hero. Sarah's throat burned. She'd chased a hero off his own land. Across town, Malik wasn't brooding. He was at his place, a cedar-sided bungalow he'd gutted and rebuilt, stirring spaghetti for his daughter, Jada, an H-rolled with pigtails and a Roblox obsession. Daddy, you look mad, she said, stealing a noodle. He forced a grin. Just a long day, bug. How's your island coming? She rambled about virtual pets, but his sister, Keisha, wasn't fooled. She'd stopped by for tea, caught the storm in his eyes. Talk, Malik. You're too quiet. He sighed, told her about Sarah, keeping it brief. Keisha's fist hit the counter. She called you what? A racist ass? Malik shook his head. She's new, probably spooked. I'll deal. Keisha scoffed. You're too damn soft. She needs to learn. He didn't argue, just turned off the stove, but her words lingered. Soft or not, he felt the bruise. He thought of his dad, a mechanic who'd come home with stories of clients dodging payment, calling him boy at 55. Malik had vowed to build something unbreakable. Houses, a name, a legacy for Jada. Yesterday, that vow wavered. He didn't sleep much, just stared at the ceiling. The hum of a distant train, mocking his calm. Morning broke, overcast, rain looming. He dropped Jada at school, her backpack bouncing, then headed to the rental. He didn't expect Sarah to be there, figured she'd hide at a bakery. But Her car sat in the drive, blinds twitching. He parked, grabbed his ladder, and started on the shutters, metal scraping loud enough to wake the neighborhood. Sarah heard it, heart pounding. She peeked out, saw him, flannel, jeans, boots caked in dirt, and felt like she'd swallowed sand. Max barked, tail wagging, and Sarah hushed him, grabbing the leash like a lifeline. She stepped onto the porch, voice small. "Malik?" He glanced down, face unreadable, wiping grime off his hands. "Yeah." She forced the words out. "I'm Sarah. I was horrible yesterday. I didn't know who you were, and I assumed the worst. I'm so sorry." Her eyes stung, but she held his gaze. Malik climbed down, slow, his silence a blade. "Appreciate the apology," he said, voice flat. "But I'm curious. What did you think I was doing? Stealing your doormat?" Sarah's breath hitched. I thought you were trespassing or worse. I don't know why." Malik's laugh was bitter, sharp. "Trespassing on my own damn porch with a hammer in my hand?" She nodded, tears spilling now. "I know it's awful. I was wrong." I panicked. "And I didn't see you." He crossed his arms, leaning against the ladder. "You didn't see me, or you saw what you wanted to." Big black guy. Must be trouble, right? The words landed like blows, not loud, but heavy. Sarah's voice broke. "I don't know why I thought that. I'm trying to figure it out. I feel like garbage." Malik studied her, saw the tremble in her hands, the raw guilt. He could have cut deeper. Part of him wanted to, but that wasn't his way. "Look," he said, softer but firm, "I've been dealing with this my whole life. People looking at me and seeing a problem. Yesterday wasn't new, but it hurt worse because this is my place. I built it, and you didn't even ask who I was." Sarah wiped her face, nodding. "I get that now. Is there anything I can do to fix this?" Malik exhaled, long and slow. "Stay here, live your life, but think about why you jumped there. Not for me, for you. That kind of reflex, it'll burn you again." She swallowed. "Thank you for not hating me." He gave a half smile, not friendly, but real. "I don't hate people for screwing up. Just don't make it a tradition." He climbed back up, hammer tapping, done talking. Sarah retreated, legs unsteady. She sank onto the couch, Max's warmth grounding her. She'd braced for anger. Maybe a lawsuit. Not this. His calm made her feel smaller, but also like she could climb out of the pit she'd dug. She grabbed a journal, started writing. Why did I assume? What's in me that saw danger? It wasn't answers, but it was honest. A crack in her old self. Malik finished the shutters as rain began to speckle his flannel. His focus was iron. He checked his phone, texts from Denise, a reminder about Jada's art show, a tenant's note about a leaky faucet. Normal life pulling him back. He glanced at the house, saw Sarah's silhouette, head bowed like she was reflecting. He didn't pity her, didn't resent her, just hoped she'd listen to herself. He'd had tenants like her, city transplants, quick to flinch, slow to learn. Some grew, some fled. Either way, he'd keep showing up, fixing what broke, because that's who he was. Word spread fast. Brattleboro's rumor mill didn't rest. Denise told a friend at the co-op. By noon, the story was at the barber shop, the post office, the tap room. New girl cussed out Malik Thompson, thought he was robbing his own house. Some laughed, some fumed. At the diner, Malik overheard a barista whisper it. Gave her a look that said, "Drop it." She did. He sipped his coffee, told Denise later, "Let it die. She's learning." Denise snorted, "You're a saint, and it's annoying." He grinned, but it didn't reach his eyes. Sarah felt the town's pulse shift. A clerk gave her a side eye. A neighbor's greeting was cool. She didn't blame them. She kept unpacking, but the house felt like it was watching her, judging. She called her mom that night, voice cracking as she spilled it all. "I was that person, Mom. The one who doesn't think." Her mom was quiet, then said, "Fix it, Sarah. Not with words, with how you live." Sarah hung up, spent hours online, diving into bias, history, stories like Malik's. It wasn't comfortable. Articles on profiling, videos of black men stopped for looking suspicious. She saw herself in the patterns, hated it, kept reading. A week later, Malik was back, replacing a porch light that flickered. Sarah was home, Max's leash in hand. She waved, tentative, and he nodded. No tension, but no warmth. "Lights fixed," he said, packing up. She blurted, "I'm trying, to understand why I did it." He paused, toolbox half closed. "Good."
Se eu quer que o CEO é que fazer uma toida é fácil fusa sempre sei tem patin or origin or the bitmaking er stood more fake balle kit vi affiches så women interest are a fifth wall is like a so I certainly fifth a fucking fuck off but I fit in the
November came, cold, slicing through the valley. Sarah settled in, the house hers, but not fully. She found Malik's touches everywhere, a door he'd rehung, a baseboard he'd sanded. She called once, nervous, about a squeaky step. He showed up, fixed it in silence, left with a "take care." She started small, bought bread at a black-owned bakery, tipped generously, listened more. At a farmer's market, she overheard a man praise Malik. "Rebuilt my shed, didn't gouge me." Sarah smiled, said nothing, carried the story home. Jada asked Malik about it one night, poking at her carrots. "Did someone yell at you 'cause you're black?" He froze, fork midair. "Yeah, baby. Sometimes people get it wrong." Her brow furrowed. "That's stupid." He laughed, real, for the first time in days. "Real stupid. But we keep going." Keisha, over for dinner, wasn't as forgiving. "You should have made her squirm, Malik." He shrugged. "She's squirming plenty." He didn't tell her how he'd driven past the house at dawn, not checking on Sarah, but on the place itself, making sure it stood strong despite the insult. By December, Sarah was different, quieter, sharper-eyed. She joined a local book club, not to preach, but to learn. Older folks shared Brattleboro's scars, segregated schools, old slights. She listened, spoke once, raw. "I judged someone I shouldn't have. I'm here to do better." They nodded no coddling, but they didn't shut her out. She wrote Malik a letter, pen shaking. For the house, for not crushing me, for being bigger than my mistake. I'm still unraveling it. But you made me want to. She left it in the mailbox, heart racing. Malik found it, read it by lamplight. Jada's snores drifting down the hall. He didn't tear up, didn't grin, just nodded, tucked it in a drawer with his dad's old pliers. Keep unraveling, he muttered, and meant it. Spring hit, and Sarah's lease neared its end. She'd landed a steady client, could have stayed, but felt pulled to Maine, closer to her brother. Before leaving, she asked Malik to meet. No pressure, just coffee on the porch. They sat, Max sprawled, steam rising from mugs. This place broke me open, she said. You did. He sipped, calm. You broke yourself. I just didn't close the door. She laughed. Real, true. How do you keep going when people see you wrong? He looked at the street. A kid's scooter rattling past. My girl, my family, they're why I show up. World's messy, but they're clear. She nodded, carried that weight. When she packed her car, Malik rented the house to a nurse. No fuss. Denise ribbed him. You're too good, Thompson. He snorted. Just a guy with a hammer. But he felt steady, the driveway fading like a bad dream. He took Jada to a woodworking class, laughed when she sawed a crooked line. Life spun on, his rhythm unbroken. Sarah, in Maine, started a blog, small, honest, about blind spots, growth, towns like Brattleboro. She didn't name Malik, but he was there in every line about facing yourself. She hoped he'd know. Brattleboro didn't transform. Gossip cooled. New dramas flared, but Malik's name held strong. The man who built homes, raised a kid, didn't flinch. At the diner, folks clapped his shoulder, meant it. He didn't need their nods, never had, just kept his boots on, tools ready, claiming his ground one fix at a time. This story is raw, real, and it's for anyone who's been misjudged or owned a mistake. Hit like, share it with someone who needs to hear it. Comment with your own story. What have you faced? What have you learned? Subscribe for more truths that cut deep and lift high. Let's talk about it.